Tarik Skubal behind the jersey?
Yeah, I mean, first off, thanks for having me, but that's a tough question, right? But, I think that with my sport and just being on TV and sometimes you can think these people aren't humans anymore, and it's like, I like to be known as just like a regular dude. I obviously, I just happen to be gifted at a sport and been able to surround myself with people that have always put my career first and have supported me all the way through, through college, through the minor leagues, to the big leagues, the struggles that have been at every single step in my life. So I'm fortunate to have that, but I think I'm a pretty regular dude. I play video games the same way everyone else plays video games. I like to golf. I'm not good at it, but I enjoy it just like everybody else does. I think that's just who I am, and I think that's something that I think goes a little bit overlooked when you start talking about professional athletes and stuff like that. I think like who I am is just, my day-to-day is pretty simple. I go to the gym with these guys every day, and then I come home to my wife and my son, and I'm a dad for the rest of the day. Or if I, have to get some treatment here or do this here, I just enjoy life, the way that I think everyone else, should and is capable of in that aspect. But that's a tough question. I think that's what's cool about this too, is like, I think everyone sitting down right here is pretty relatable in that aspect of who we are when there's no cameras and stuff on you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, coming from, now with, kind of running Ironwilled and having worked with athletes at that level, it's a whole different perspective. And, because I grew up just a huge sports fan, and you really do, especially when you're rooting for or rooting against more so different athletes, like you forget that these guys are you forget that these guys are human. You know what I mean? Like they have families and lives, and I just in the few times that we've actually sat down and spoken, I can definitely say that you really are just another dude. We sat down for dinner, just shot the shit for a while, and it was, then we got into brass tacks a little bit, but it was very really casual, and that was just really cool because there's some athletes who kind of have that that complex to them, or ego. Might think that they're the egos involved.
That's something that I check my ego at the door every day. I think that there's some stuff that you can definitely get prideful about, and you want things to go your way, but it's like in life things don't really ever go your way. If life was easy and things went your way every single day, what story would that be? In terms of each individual, right? So it's like, I try to check my ego. Sometimes it'll get a little out of hand, and I could pop off or say some stuff that I shouldn't. But for the most part, I think I'm a pretty down-to-earth guy, and I think that's something that that's who I want to be known as. A great teammate, great dad, and a great friend. If you're in my circle, I got your back no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely.
To chime in on that, I think being who you are, you weren't always here. He wasn't always slated to be the guy. Mm-hmm. How it's easy to kind of fall into that persona when you're brought up from a young age and you're slated, this guy's really good. Oh, he's going to this school, or he's drafted here. He's projected as this. I would say Tarik didn't always have the easy road. Even to this day, Tarik hasn't had the easy road. And to make it where he did make it, I would say that's the road less traveled. Travelable road, but road less traveled. Mm-hmm. And he stayed true to who he is. And that person that he was and is to this day was, somebody that was never supposed to be the guy, not supposed to, be sitting at the top of the leaderboard, especially, I would say, this soon. And to make it, he stayed true to who he was the whole time. And mm-hmm. I think that's kind of a testament to who he is still to this day.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of the way that you came up, you only had one Division I offer, right, Seattle. Yeah. And you definitely faced your share of struggles early on in the league and things like that. So, it seems like you definitely kind of took, the way that you and growing up in Kingman, those just the way that where you came from, it seems like you kind of brought that with you to the level that you're at. Kind of tell that story a little bit. What was it like growing up What was the process through college and getting drafted and just kind of working your way up to now? What was that? What was your journey like?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't it wasn't always easy, and I wouldn't want it any other way either. Looking back at it, I was a high school kid. Obviously had some talent to play baseball, right, and performed, kind of my whole life at baseball. I was always, always decently good at it, and I was actually training to go play college basketball. And
decent hooper too, right?
Yeah, I was
Let him
good.
shoot.
Yeah, I mean, I was good. The tape might not look the
Let him
best.
shoot.
But, I was good. I could hold my own. I could shoot. I could pass. I could do a lot of things. Defend. I grew up in a basketball gym, so that was probably my first true love. Was playing basketball, and my older brother went and played college basketball, and that was my dream, was to just go play with him. And he was 3 years older than me, so I thought we could get 2 good years in together, and or maybe even just one, I guess, in college. Maybe he would have to redshirt or something and play, but that was always my dream. And then as I got better at basketball, I just got more athletic, and baseball started to become a real opportunity for me. My velocity started to go up, and I went through at a tournament here in Phoenix. I don't remember where we were at. I think it was in Peoria. And then that's when college became a real thing. I thought I could actually go play. I threw well. My velocity was up. I was handed, some cards. Everything was handed out back then, like with scouting cards. Call this number, right? And I was up to like 91, 92 as a senior in high school in fall. And, back then that was hard. Now everybody throws hard. And then I was scheduled to throw 2 days later, and I was playing football my senior year, which was a horrible decision, but I was playing football just because I wanted to hang out with my friends because they were all playing it, right? So I wanted to play it. I had a game Friday night, and then the next day I pitched, and like after a football game, your body's throttled, right? And I pitched, and I was like 84 to 85. Philo was way down, and kind of all the buzz that was created after a Wednesday game, right, was gone, completely gone. And the cards that I did have, I remember I had this black Seattle University card, and I handed it to my dad, and I was like, I'm never calling that school. Like, I'm not going to school in Seattle. If I'm going to go to school, it needs to be somewhere a little bit closer to home. I was already committed to Yavapai Community College, which was, it's a junior college here in Prescott, and I was comfortable going there. It was 2 hours from where I lived, and my dad was like, absolutely not, you're calling that number. Called it. Elliot Kirby was the pitching coach there, and it felt like within 4 or 5 days I was committed, and it wasn't a ton of money. My family doesn't come from, a ton of money, and my parents were pretty much willing to sacrifice everything they could to get me to be able to go afford to play Division I baseball. That university happens to be expensive, but they were able to, kind of put things together and give me the opportunity to go play there in the fall. And so that was my one Division I offer. I don't think really anybody knows this, but after that fall season, my dad calls me and says, hey, we can't afford to, for you to pay to go to school anymore. And we had like our winter meetings before everyone goes home for Christmas break. And he's like, you need to go in there and ask for more money, or else you're going to have to go home. And luckily enough, I had a good fall. I showcased talents, and, they saw some things into me. I don't even know if I've told my coaches this, but, I went in there as a 17-year-old kid, like so scared, trying to ask college for more money, or else saying, hey, I got to quit, I'm going to go home. And they started off the meeting saying that I earned more scholarship money, which was able to put me through the whole year, which is crazy. I get emotional thinking about stuff like that, little things like that. But they offered me some more money. Another kid got kicked off the team, kind of all that stuff, and the money trickled to me, right? So a lot of things happened, and I was able to, keep going to school there. And then after my freshman year, I had a pretty successful freshman campaign. my scholarship money went up again, so I could afford to come back to school. And my sophomore year, I had Tommy John. That's when I met these guys. I rehabbed in Arizona for the summer, and I mean, that story is pretty crazy. That's a whole nother tangent I could get on if we wanted to go there. But met these guys. They took care of me. Taught me kind of the professional side of the game, how to handle yourself, how to carry yourself. Just being in the environment I was in, I remember looking around, it was like Tyrann Mathieu was here, Patrick Peterson was here, like these big time athletes were in this place, and like I wanted to be that, right? So I was just kind of, I don't know if they noticed or not, but I was just kind of like hawking them down, trying to figure out what their routine was, how they got to that stage, and then they're training with the same guys I'm training with. I go, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. And then train with them, came back from Tommy John. Just with the time frame, I ended up redshirting the next year. And then I pitched my redshirt junior year. I was drafted by the Tigers in the 9th round. Obviously, that season didn't go the way I wanted to. I was pegged to be a first or second rounder. Early I was meeting with a bunch of teams. They wanted to draft me with these 2 picks, or they were saying that, whatever. Season didn't go the way I wanted to. Kind of struggled with the mental side of the game, trying to be perfect, trying to do a lot of things that I don't think any human in the world is capable of doing, but that's just what I thought I could do. Scuffled, and then got back to my roots a little bit in the second half. Had put together a pretty good second half that season. Was fortunate enough to get drafted by the Tigers, and then had a good first season with them. Immediately came back, trained with these guys. Put my body in a good, pretty good position to go out there and have another healthy campaign, and I did in 19, and I pitched really well and became, like a prospect, for the Tigers, and became a top 5 prospect and a top 100 prospect, and you can throw all these tags on it, right? And then I was able, COVID obviously happens in 20, and I was able to debut in that year, and learn a ton, a lot from failure, right? And I think that's one of the biggest life lessons is failing and not being afraid to fail. And then I immediately got back to work, needed to work on a lot of things. I probably wasn't ready to pitch in the big leagues, but they threw me out there and kind of let me drown a little bit, and it was a great learning lesson for me. And I was able to put another, a successful 21 campaign, but still not to the levels of play that I think I'm capable of. Got back to work again, started pitching really well in 22, and then, the arm, I had another flexor surgery in 22, and that'll humble you in all the right ways. And then, that's when I really fully bought in on my body, nutrition, sleep, just kind of everything, because I thought I was in a really good spot, and I wasn't. And I think that's what's so cool about this game is it demands a lot of you to go be great. So, really bought in even to a level that I didn't think I was capable of the dedication, the determination that it takes to be great. And came back from that surgery and had a pretty successful second half of the 23 season, and then kept that motivation and all that stuff through an off season, and then was able to put together a campaign that I had this last year that was pretty special, in all aspects, not only individually but from a team aspect. We hadn't made the playoffs in 10 plus years or whatever it was, and we were able to go beat a Houston Astros team that has been to 7 straight ALCSs, and there's a little bit of background with our manager and all that kind of stuff. So there was a little bit, more personal motivation, from that aspect, at least for me. I'm not going to speak for anyone else, but at least for me. Win a playoff series, and then, we're 1 game away from, the ALCS, and then, your beloved Yankees, who knows what happens in 7 games, so I think, that's kind of my story. I think it's unique to me, and I think it's special, and I talked to you about this too. It's like, it's never been something I've been comfortable talking about, just because I think what matters the most is obviously what you're doing on the field and your performance on the field. But what I'm starting to realize is, like, kids in my shoes are kids that are not highly recruited, or, just all that low draft picks, whatever aspect, whatever avenue that you go in life, right? It doesn't have to be sports. Like, I think the power of working hard and kind of putting everything you got into everything you do is very powerful, and that's kind of, what I've done in my life. That's a long-winded answer, but that's my answer. Yeah, I think my story is pretty cool. I think your story is pretty cool. I think everyone sitting down right here's story is pretty cool, in terms of what they're doing in their life. It just happens to be different avenues that we're going down. Yeah. So, that's what I.
Yeah, no, dude, that's absolutely incredible. And it sounds like there's so many points throughout that you could have just you really you wanted to go to community college, and you had multiple surgeries. And one thing you said that stood out to me that I want to dive into a little bit deeper is, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was your first year with the Tigers. You had said that, or was it first year of college where you said you had you were dealing with some some mental struggles that kind of just caused you to have a bad year. What were those struggles? Like, what were you dealing with inside that kind of caused you to, really sit here now and be like, yeah, I was struggling at that point mentally, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, so that was when I came back from Tommy John surgery in 2018. I hadn't competed in a year and a half. I hadn't played any sort of competitive baseball in a year and a half, and I think the hardest part of injury is, obviously the physical stuff that happens, right? You have to have surgery and you have to go through the rehab process physically, right? But I think the hardest part is mentally, just not being able to play the sport that you've kind of, I bought all the way into it, and I gave everything, and that's who I was, right? That was my identity, was just, I'm a baseball player. This is what I do. I play baseball, and when the game's taken away from you, like, who are you, right? And you have an identity crisis when I'm 20 years old. I'm like, dude, I can't play a sport that I'm supposed to play. Like, I'm supposed to be out there playing with my teammates, and I can't play. So that was hard. But I think a little bit harder, once you kind of get over that and you get through the rehab process and you can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel of like, hey, I'm close to coming back, and I'm going to be playing with my teammates again that you go to battle with, and you struggle together with, and you succeed and fail together with, right? So, once you see the light at the end of the tunnel. But I think that the hardest part, when I was coming back and competing, was I was supposed to be this guy that was a first rounder, second rounder, supposed to make all this money in the draft, supposed to do all these things, and I took that as like, oh, I got to be perfect to be able to do all that stuff. I got to throw the ball exactly where I'm supposed to. I got to, I can't miss a spot here. I'm so good, I shouldn't be missing spots here. And I would just get so frustrated in the results side of the game instead of the process side of the game.
It's profound.
And I just started obsessing about my numbers: how many strikeouts, how many walks, how many innings pitched, how many hits did I give up, how many runs did I give up. I'd look at my ERA, and it was just so unhealthy, from a mental standpoint. I didn't fall in love with the process, of just being bought in on every single pitch that I throw, being bought in on every single rep that I do in between starts, being bought in on, the schoolwork in college too, right? So I think I just started obsessing about numbers and all the results instead of being obsessed about the process and just going out there and playing and competing and living in the moment. I would be out there and already thinking about tomorrow's day before today. And it's like, no, you got to be where your feet are and just worry about competing and doing everything you can to win that day, right? And whether I am the one that's responsible for winning or not shouldn't matter. It's just a matter of the team winning. So I think that's what I struggled with, was just trying to be a perfectionist and chase results, but not understanding how to, where I should be at mentally. And that's kind of what shifted in the second half, was just being bought in and being where my feet are and only controlling what I can control. There's nothing else I can control outside of me getting the pitch and throwing it, right? And then whatever happens after that happens. I have no say in it. But yeah, that's kind of what that struggle was like. And then it takes a lot of tough outings and a lot of stuff that you don't want to have to go through to probably learn lessons the hard way, but I think it was pretty valuable for me and my career.
Yeah, that's super. That resonates.
Well, I'm glad you guys touched on this, because once we're going to get to a point at some point in this conversation where his mentality is at now, and that will be fun to visit because of the conversations we have pre-game day, and you know how those go.
Yeah.
And it's to see where, what he's talking about
funny.
now.
Your conversations and mine and Wes's conversations, you're the fighter, he's the lover. And
Well,
you know what you're getting, right?
Well, yeah, that's why we...
You send me the messages that, like, hey, it's fight day, it's time to go to war, and it's perfect for, the days that I'm going about, like, I'm pitching, right? I'm going to give it everything I've got out there and empty the gas, and leave I don't want to ever wake up the next day and be like, oh, I should have done that, or I should have tried harder here. It's like, no, I'm going to empty the gas tank, and whatever happens. That's all I can really do. At the end of the day, I can live with that, right? If you give something everything you've got and you fail, you can live with that. I think that's pretty powerful. And then, you get punched in the mouth a couple times, and I got my lover right here. That'll be like, hey, it's okay, give me a hug, whatever it is, right? I think that's what's important about, the people that you surround yourself with. And I spend a lot of time with these guys in the 4-month time frame of an off season. And it's pretty important to me.
Yeah, I can tell you guys definitely share a very special bond, coming from the outside looking in, and it's really cool to see. And I want to get you guys a little bit more involved, and early on, even either injury that you guys have helped Tarik through. How did you see him kind of respond to that adversity, and what did you guys see where he was headed? Like, did he kind of, even at that point, was he completely different and he really evolved, or did you guys know, just like, based on how he really, I guess, reacted to the adversity he was facing? Like, did you how describe that, like, working with him through these injuries?
So the first injury, probably not. He's super young. We weren't even slated to work together. Again, that's a whole nother story in itself.
Yeah.
But the second injury, 100%. When an injury like that happens, especially when it's your job to reduce the likeliness of that to happen, you take it super personal, and you feel for him. And the lover over here, he set rules for me. You can be a why me guy, what the fuck, why'd this happen? You blessed us with this good plan, we've been following it. All of a sudden we got derailed. That's what I got the lover for. He cuts me off at, a day, it bleeds into a week. But I would say the second injury, after, you have a human response, at least for myself. You know what he feels like, he's down. Things were trending up. Sport was going up. Everything was going to plan. Or you thought your plan, and you realize it's not your plan. So you have the human reaction. I'm down, I'm depressed, I take it personal. I go through our program looking for something that I might have missed. Even, I go over and over. But I would say the second injury, for him, he bought in so hard that he made, I would say, my job easy, K2's job easy, Wes's job easy. But for me personally, what I learned was, you can call it faith, you can call it what you want, but Wes knows what I'm talking about. When an injury like that happens, it's the human response is why. Why'd this happen? Damn it, this wasn't supposed to be part of the fucking plan. You're depressed, you're down. As soon as I kind of get back to, and Wes helps me get back to the mentality of thank you. Thank you that this happened, and it sounds crazy, but thank you for letting me get injured, because the plan is way bigger than my human brain could ever process. It also gives people like Tarik, who have been taught, put your head down and work and work. It gives them a chance to break up the pattern. So it's really a blessing in disguise, where you get to sit back, you get to be at home, You get to study yourself. You get to study film. Though, yeah, it sucks you're not playing the game, but if it's worth that one little piece of information that he found in his throwing or his mental state that took him to the next level, it was worth every bit of process of that injury. If I were to tell you, hey, Tarik, you have to tear your flexor tendon, but if you do that and you buy in, you could be a Cy Young. He would say, let's ride.
Yeah.
And it's easy to do that in hindsight, but if you can shift your mentality when that happens and when you're going through it, that's what's on the other side. If I take it as not a setback, but a step forward, if you will, and you lean on your faith, that's what kind of brings it together for me. On the injury side, as far to get back to Tarik, he came back and he almost probably talked me off the ledge because, I get into that. I do take it personal. But he bought in 2 feet, and as soon as he could hit the ground running, he hit the ground running.
As soon as he was cleared to be in there, he was in there.
We had to get tricky with the training because he couldn't use one arm. But his mental, the way he carried himself, the way he, we talked about it, like, we're gonna, as cliche as it sounds, hey, we're going to come back better than ever.
Yeah.
We truly believe that, right? And it's crazy for it to actually come true. Not that we didn't believe it, because we did, but for it to come to fruition ever since he had surgery, because he bought in and he did the little things, and he did work on his mentals, and he did buy fully into his body and the process and the people he surrounded himself with. Since surgery, he came back as, and I'll argue this with anybody, the most dominant pitcher in MLB. And so the first one, we're young, we're going through it. I would say it's a little kind of all over the place. You don't really know. And even the second one, he wasn't really slated to be, the top MLB pitcher went down and had, surgery. There was none of that.
Yeah.
But we believed in that process, and we believed that he could truly get himself to that. And he went full at his recovery, his process, and not just his body, his mental. And ever since surgery, he came back. We took it as a set forward, if you will, instead of a setback. And he came back as the best pitcher in MLB.
And it's supposed to suck. It's not supposed to be, I got hurt, I can't wait for 11 months off. It's like, no, you don't ever think of it like that, right? But, you let it suck. And then, for me, I'm going to use it as motivation, as far as what, I thought I was doing all the right things, working out this, working my ass off here, putting in the extra time here. And then you get hurt and you're like, well, I'm not supposed to get hurt. I did everything right, and you think like, well, no, I did everything right. I can't get hurt. I can't get hurt. I kept telling myself that, when I was kind of throwing through it for a couple starts there. I'm like, no, I'm not actually hurt. There's no way I'm hurt. I do all this stuff. I shoulder program. I take care of my nutrition, all this stuff, right? And my body was like, no, dude, you're hurt, and you got to realize that. And once I had the surgery, I just kind of told myself and got over that little waiting period of not being able to do much. And you're sitting at home, and I'm playing Wii Sports right-handed, and Wii bowling with my little brother, and Wii tennis and all this stuff. And it's cool because it's passing time, but it sucks, right? And I just kind of use all that as motivation, and I don't ever want to. When I look back at my career, I don't ever want to think like, oh, I should have done this. I wish I did that. I want to be able to, when my day's done and my career's over, like, I did everything I have and I gave everything I had to this, to this game, and I'm going to move on, and be just as happy in my next whatever comes after baseball, right? And that's kind of where I took it mentally, was like, all right, let's buy in even more. Let's push and see what really is capable in this body, and mentally and physically. I think the brain's such a powerful thing, right? And you kind of tap into pushing yourself mentally even more than physically, and seeing what your body's capable of, and seeing what you can do. So that's kind of where I took the second surgery, was like, all right, let's see what else I can tap into. And obviously I'm taking care of my body and doing all that stuff, and that stuff has always come not easy to me, but I've always loved it and enjoyed it. So it's like, it's just part of the grind, right? I enjoy that part of the game, but let's see what I can tap into mentally, and putting yourself in some pretty uncomfortable places or doing some things and finding comfort in that. And I think that was probably the biggest, change with the second rehab was just, mentally getting myself locked in to where I can keep my process pretty simple, when I'm playing sports, and, really trying to just get a little bit better each and every day and stack those really good days. And you stack those and you put together good weeks and good months, and then, you're talking good years. And I think that's where there's a lot of really good growth that happens. And that's kind of where I took the second surgery was I just got to, keep putting my head down and going to work. I think it's cliche and people always say, I work hard or I do this. It's like, no, do you actually do that? And that's where I give credit to these guys is, on days maybe I don't feel as motivated or didn't feel like doing this or didn't feel like going to the gym or didn't feel like doing the extra bike sprint work. Like, they've always held me pretty accountable, or I don't feel like getting in the cold tub or, whatever it is, right? These guys hold me pretty accountable in that aspect of my life to where I know I'm tapping in and making sure I'm leaking everything out of that side of my body that I can.
Whether through the injuries or any other adversity that you faced, did you ever reach a point to where you truly you doubted yourself and your ability to overcome?
Oh, for sure. And I think that's human, and I think that's a very normal response to anything that happens in life. When change needs to be happen, no one wants change, right? You want to just keep doing the same routine. I think humans, I think myself, I become such a routine-oriented guy that I enjoy doing the same thing every single day. Mm-hmm. I think that's just the routine side of me. But I think that change is necessary, and for sure there were days where when I'm throwing and things are bothering me or not feeling as good as I wanted to, or something with my body's not feeling as good as I wanted to. There's definitely that doubt that creeps in, and I think that's very normal. I think that's the human side of the game and the human element of the game that makes sports so beautiful in my eyes. Is just like that. You see it with athletes, right? Like the guys that are consistent and just turn it in every single night. Those are typically the greatest players in the sport. And those guys are just mentally just locked in everything they're doing, and you can just watch it, right? When a quarterback has the ball and things are just, it's like, dude, how's this guy so open? It's just like, his process is so simple that he's not missing reads and he's doing all these things the right way. But there's for sure days that there's even in the last season, there's just innings or pitches that things creep into your head of like, oh, I can't do this, and a pitch gets called, oh, there's no way I can throw that pitch where it's supposed to go, or like I'm losing feel of this, and it's like, no, that's like fear. That's fear. Like, you can do everything that you put your mind to. I truly believe that, and those thoughts creep in, and you just kind of realize like, no, where am I actually at? No, I'm gonna execute this pitch, and then I'm gonna move on to the next one. And I think that's a very normal response to things that happen in life. Is just like, oh, I can't do this. It's like, you can do anything that you truly want to do, and whatever you want to do in life.
Yeah, it was actually going to be, kind of my next question is, when you're on the mound and literally every eye in the stadium and tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands more on the TV are looking at you, and the game's on the line, or, one pitch. Over the course of a whole game, one pitch can change the entire game. To hear you say that, even in mid-game that you have these doubts, like, is it really just recognizing that you're having those thoughts and changing what you're telling yourself, like changing it to that positive, like, no, I'm just gonna, describe that. How do you ground yourself when that much pressure is on you and you're, maybe some of those thoughts creep in?
Yeah, I think it's just, it's one, acknowledging it, right? It's one thing to just say, like, push it to the side. It's like, no, I am thinking this, or I am nervous, I am anxious, and that's okay. It means you care about what's going on. It means you care about the result of what's going on in this game, or, you care about winning. I think that's all comes from a very positive standpoint. But I think you have to be honest and open with yourself. I'm always going to be my harshest critic in anything that I do, especially when it comes to baseball. And, just being honest and open with yourself and knowing when things like that are happening and just kind of getting back to my process of what I can control. And that's, for me, it's just getting the pitch and throwing it. You know, that's all I can control when I'm out there. I can't control if the fielder makes the play. I can't control if the umpire calls a ball, you know, on a pitch that I think is a strike. You have no control over it. You know, I could execute a pitch, throw it exactly where I want, and the hitter can hit it. It's like, I don't have any control over any of that. All I have control of is just buying in and being so bought in on every single pitch that I throw during a game. And I think, you know, if guys are like, no, I never have those thoughts creep in, like, I think you're a liar.
Yeah.
You know, I really do. It's like, no, you do have doubt. You do have self-doubt. You do try to hold yourself back, you know, or restrain yourself from being the best version of yourself just because that's what's comfortable. You know, you don't want to be uncomfortable, or you don't want to be honest with yourself. And it's like, no, I think that's when I'm at my best, is when I'm honest with myself and assess myself as if, you know, I'm going to be my best coach. And I think that's it's very normal too. I think everyone's afraid of failure. You know, you don't want to fail. You don't want to be embarrassed. It's like, no, you got to be comfortable doing that stuff. I mean, you give it your all, right? You know, I think about the last game that I played in. You know, I gave up a grand slam in the fifth inning, and, you know, I could have cost my team my season, right? And it's like, I'm not afraid of doing that again. You know, I think that I'd rather go out like that again. You know, I give this game everything I've got. I gave that game everything I've got. I gave that pitch everything I had, and it's like, I can live with that. And through maybe the eyes of someone else, you know, a fan or normal, I don't want to call them normal, we're all normal, right? But like someone who's not on our team, they could be like, oh, you failed, or you choked, or all this shit, right? And it's like, no, I gave that everything I had, and whatever happened, happened. And I can live with that. Obviously, I want the results to be different, and I would love to win, and, you know, I would love to be the one holding the trophy at the end of the year, but I know I gave everything I had in that moment, and that's all that matters. You know, that's all you can ask of anybody in anything they're doing. You give it everything you've got, and whatever happens, happens. So I think that's, you know, I could sit and, you know, sulk about that moment, but it's like, no, I'm proud as hell of everything that I was able to accomplish individually, and
Lights a little fire for us.
yeah, and obviously as a team. And I was talking to these guys about it too. I'm kind of glad it went out that way, to where, you know, it motivated me to, you know, you get punched in the mouth, right? And you get right back in the gym. You know, Saturday I'm pitching that game, and Monday I'm back in the gym getting ready for my next season.
Keep answering them. Keep bringing up my questions, man.
Yeah, sorry.
One of the cool, hearing him talk about it too is cool, because our conversations do revolve around a lot, at least this year for sure, is what he can control. You know, I get up in the morning, I'm all jacked up, probably more so than I should be. But what he can control is going right fucking at him. You can't control what happens after, but, you know, around it. What you can control is going right at him. And when it's not going your way, you can still control how you respond. You know, how do you want to react to this? You want to go out on your shield, or do you want to let it get too big? And one thing I think he did incredible this year was he controlled what he can control. He went right at him every time, and there were games where it wasn't going our way and it was unfolding, and he would continue to stay himself and go right back at him. And that's what he could control. He couldn't control the outcome. He couldn't control a guy if hit a perfect pitch or the score or whatever it may be. But what he could control this year was digging in and just going right at him with what he's got. And at the end of the day, I think I think that's all you can ask for. Yeah.
You know, if I'm your teammate, right? If you're my teammate, like, I expect you to give it everything you've got every single day. You know, and obviously it's going to be different every day with just the human element, or, you know, physically the toll that the season will take on you, right? But that's all I'm going to ask out of anyone that I play with. You know, give me everything you've got, because I'm going to give you everything I've got. And however the score unfolds, it unfolds. But, you know, when we wake up tomorrow, we're going to be pretty, you know, happy with ourselves that we gave it everything we got, win, lose, or draw. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. You know, we're obviously winning would is what you want, right? But not everything goes your way in life, and I think that's the beauty in it too, is win, lose, or draw, you can live with an outcome if you gave it everything you got.
It's one of those you get punched in the mouth moments. Like, you get punched in the mouth, how are you going to respond?
What are you gonna do?
You can either get your lick back, or you can go down on a knee.
Yeah.
Right? And at the end of the day, if you go out trying to get a lick back, you can look at yourself in the mirror and be like, hey, sport happens. But if you kind of took the easy way out, that's a tougher look in the mirror. But get popped in the mouth, and how you respond, I think, tells a lot about a person in life and sport or anything. And that's kind of, I would say, his mentality this year, at least in our conversations with, we're going to get hit in the mouth. This is professional sports. Everybody's good. It's how you respond when you get popped in the mouth that's going to kind of define where you go. And I think, we took some hits and we gave some licks back.
No, I
And
in that last game, like, you give the grand slam and they give you another inning and you go out there and I think you punched out 2.
or it was a 1-2-3, 1-2-3 inning.
Punched out 2 and
retire the
just
inning
threw
and,
it up
and
there,
keep
yeah.
our team in it. I think that's kind of what I always would go back on, right? Is like that pitch to, Lane Thomas. You think about it and you're like, was I really bought in on that pitch? And then I look at, what happened to the next hitter and the next hitter and the next hitter and the next hitter. And it's like, yeah, I was bought in on everything. I was bought in on everything. Every pitch that I threw was with 100% conviction. And like, am I going to throw the ball where I want to every single time? Absolutely not. Nobody in the world does it. But just being bought in and keep going right at guys, I think that's when I'm at my best, especially in sport. But in life too, you give it everything you've got every single day, and whatever you're trying to achieve, and whether you fail or whether you succeed, it doesn't matter. You gave it everything you had, and you can live with that. And that's kind of my mentality, with playing sports, and that's what motivates me to be the best I can be. Is I don't ever want to look back at any point in my career and be like, damn, I should have went in on that Friday, or damn, I should have done, instead of the 10 reps, nobody was watching me, I should have done 10 instead of 8. It's like, sometimes that happens.
If I'm counting, you might get
You're
it.
gonna
If I'm counting, you might get an extra one.
relatable. You're gonna get popped in the mouth,
Yeah.
and understanding that, whether it's like you said, life or sport, I think part of that is understanding if I'm gonna toe the line and wake up, I'm gonna get hit in the mouth at some point, and you have the control and you have the power to decide how you respond to that. And I think that's a testament.
I think
to,
that's what also like kind of makes Ironwilled so dope, is like the story of it too, right?
We all got hit in the mouth.
I think in everything you do, you could probably say the same things in how you've been doing. Is like, how many times have you failed, right? It's probably close to maybe a little bit more than the times you've had success. And that's what probably makes like this setting and like having this warehouse probably that much more beautiful for you, is like, everything that's gone on behind the scenes that probably no one else knows. And it's as much as you probably wish, like, I wish we never failed, or I wish every drop was a hit. Like, things happen, and things, you could get blindsided by things, but you just keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep going, right back to work and keep going right at guys. In my profession, it happens to be, me versus the hitter kind of stuff, but,
Really
kind of me versus me too, right? It's like, you get punched in the mouth. All right, what am I going to do? I'm going to keep going right at guys, and you could punch me in the mouth 100 times that day. If I ever get knocked down, like, or give up, like, that's a failure of a day. You could punch me in the mouth 100 times and I stand up 101 times. That's a successful day.
Love that. You're gonna have to kill me.
Yeah,
You're
you're
to
gonna
really take me out.
and the score will be the score.
Yeah,
that's kind of one
I could
thing
lose
that
18-0. But if I gave it everything I had and you punched me in the mouth 18 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I never gave in and I just kept going right at you. I think that that's a good day in the office. Obviously, you don't want to give up 18 runs, but I think that's what I think is success. And instead of chasing box scores and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, and there's so much that you said there that I personally resonate with, but so much of what you've experienced as a player, like, translates so directly to life, and again, it's like when just, you said it at dinner too, and I've thought about it almost every day since. It's just like control what you can control, and you're focused on the process. And, at the end of the day, yeah, you're a normal guy, but it's these things that, to me are what has allowed you to become, to achieve excellence. And again, I resonate with all of this a lot, and, it's really, you got to fail your way to success. And it seems like that really defines your story, is these injuries and not getting the offers, and, just everything that you went through. I'm sure that's not even a fraction of what you actually, like you said with me, like what you actually experienced, but it's what actually, I'm sure what all of that is what probably, you're about to win, these all MLB honors and the Cy Young, you want a Triple Crown, I'm sure that's what makes it all sweet, right? And makes it all actually worth it, is knowing what you went through to achieve it.
No, for sure. I think that's what makes my story pretty cool, is like, you think back of when I was rehabbing Tommy John and I was living in a hotel for 4 nights a week, and I would train with these guys twice a week at that time, and I would drive 3.5 hours from Kingman on Monday morning for my rehab appointment and see these guys Monday afternoon, stay in a hotel, like probably not in a good area, but it's all I knew, and I would stay Monday through Friday, get my rehab done on Friday, and drive back home, Friday afternoon. And it's just like those, looking back at it, like sitting in this chair today,
it's crazy.
It's like I would never do that again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, then you think about it and you're like, I would absolutely do that again.
Wouldn't
I wouldn't
change a
trade
thing.
it for
It's
the
crazy.
world.
Yeah.
Everything that you've ever done has led you to this moment right now. Like with everything behind that's been happening these last handful of months or whatever, like everything that has happened in your entire life has led you to that.
Yeah,
You know what
which
I mean?
is
It's really crazy to think about that and like zoom out on the whole picture, right?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird because, like, being me, I don't like talking about it.
Yeah.
It's like I did what I thought would make me
Right.
great, right? And I'm like, I think everyone would do that. But I don't think everyone would actually. If you look back at it, I don't think everyone would do that.
And if you get popped in the mouth and you respond the right way, and that makes the day successful, whether the scoreboard says that or not. You go through life doing that, then when you zoom out, you wouldn't change a thing. Nobody wants to have, surgery when their career's climbing, but now in the grand scheme of things, because you control what you control and you got popped in the mouth and you decided to control what you control and take it head on. If like I said, if you said, hey, hindsight's 20/20, here's the offer. You have, flexor surgery, but you get to be MLB's best. I think that's a pretty easy, let's ride.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go through that. And if you treat your life that way, with faith, not knowing what's on the other side, it becomes easier to take those pitfalls or those pops in the mouth.
Yeah, 'cause it's just
it's
another
part of
one
it.
of those.
It's one of
just
those.
part of it, for
It's
sure.
just part of it. It's one of those things. It's
That's
in my eyes,
that
it's a
process.
win. If you can flip your mindset to it's a win, or you take little things out of it where you figure out things about yourself, or you can turn your mind into something different that allows you to come back a new, reinvented person that elevates you to the top, then it was all worth it.
Yeah.
If you take it as a setback, I promise you it's going to be a setback.
Mm-hmm.
Even going back to like your question about like, did we see it when he was young? It's like, obviously we have the tip of the iceberg now, right? Like best pitcher in MLB, but like, again, you take a step back, like this dude was literally staying in hotels, like eating week-old ground beef that his now wife was cooking for him on Sunday night, and he was just eating it all
wearing
week.
medium shirts.
Wearing the same, would bring two pairs of gym clothes for the whole week. You know what I mean? Like when you zoom, like no matter what, I think that set him up for success in some route because of the commitment that he put in at that
100%.
time. But obviously at that time, maybe we don't see it. But it's like, again,
If
when
we
you
could
zoom
see it at
out-
that
when you
time, I
zoom
would
out and
probably
look at things
pick some lobby
retrospectively. It's like,
Yeah,
this kid was built fucking different.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we're allowed
Came in
to
with
cuss.
the
I
long
am
hair.
serving a 14-day chat ban on
Ironwilled.
Call of Duty, so
It's
I'm not the
Ironwilled.
best. I'm not the best
Oh,
candidate.
yeah, I think that's what makes. That's something that I've never really talked about either. Is like I think my story is my story, and it's like, yeah, that's cool. But like I said earlier, I think it's important to let other people know that may be able something throughout this they resonate with, to like strive to be great in whatever they want to
This
be,
is
or
achievable. You know
or
what I mean?
like
Like it's
who-
achievable.
You
Yeah.
said it at dinner. You should be the most relatable person,
Right.
and I agree.
Yeah,
Because
like if
now
you-
it's tip of the iceberg. It's like, oh, He's this big guy that launches a baseball faster than most of the world and does all this crazy stuff, but he was just a normal guy that just kept putting one foot in front of the other that, refused to go down, that led him to this. So I think, like you said it the best, you should be the most relatable guy.
Yeah.
And I agree with you.
Most people don't have this crazy natural innate talent, or they don't have like this easy road to where they're trying to go. You know what I mean? That's like the rarity that we see that everybody tries to compare themselves to. But for you to literally reach, I don't want to say the pinnacle, but, reach rare heights with human achievement and achievement in baseball, and to look back and to know, like, to see all of this adversity that you came over, it's absolutely incredible. And I'm very grateful that, you're sitting here sharing this story. And I feel like both, baseball fans, Detroit fans, Ironwilled fans, like, they're going to find it extremely inspiring because, again, like, you literally failed your way to becoming the best pitcher in baseball.
When you said that, I'm like, that's dope. The way you fail yourself, you fail your way into success. I'm like, if you could only, like, know when you're going through that failure, that success is coming.
Yeah.
Everybody in the world would do it, right? But it's just like that failure that can maybe derail you mentally to be like, oh, woe is me, or like, why is this happening to me, or like, what is God's plan, right? It's like, why is he putting these obstacles in my life? It's like, no, like,
it's a win.
He's setting you
This
up
is the plan.
for something so much more sweet that you won't even, that you'll look back at that. Like, when I look back at, like, staying in the hotel and stuff, I said earlier, like, sitting in this chair today, I'd be like, nah, I would never do that. But, like, sitting back then, it's like, absolutely I'm doing that. 100 times out of 100, I'd do that again. And I would never change a thing in my path of what I'm doing. I think that's what makes things so sweet, and how you can enjoy it, that much more. And, and I think that's what's beautiful too, is like, individually, I've never really set goals for myself individually, or like numbers that I want to achieve, or like, when we talk about Triple Crown stuff or Cy Young stuff, like, going into the season, I didn't set really a goal for that. I mean, I wanted to be healthy. I wanted to log innings. You obviously want to have a successful season, but, like, I did not set those kind of individual goals. My goals were, like, more team oriented, and that's still where my goals are, is like, I want a World Series trophy. I want a ring on my finger. That's, like, what motivates me in all aspects. And I think that's pretty cool too, when you can get a group of guys, or a company, or whatever you're doing, right, to all buy in to, like, create and make something the best it can be. I think that's when really special things happen. And that's kind of like what I chase and what motivates me in that aspect of trying to be the best version of myself on the mound. But, like, it all comes from, like, wanting to win the big one, right? And I think that's pretty powerful too, is like trying to elevate not only yourself but the people around you. I think that's pretty powerful in itself too.
And I think, to what he said, to kind of tap in on that, it's way easier said than done. Like, your mouth can say everything it wants to, but until your heart really truly believes it, it doesn't happen. That I truly don't think you take L's if you take them as thank yous, and you'll look back at a blessing in disguise. But if you do take them as the setbacks, they become the setbacks. Me and Wes talk about this all the time. Like I told you, I have my down day where I do the, what the fuck? This is part of the plan. You blessed us with the best program, a new facility, our athletes, why are we being derailed? I have my human reaction moment, and I surround myself with good people that pull me out of that, and then it gets right back to the mentality of, thank you for this. Thank you for this, because the plan is so much bigger than I know. And then when we look back on it, it was like, that was such a crucial piece of the puzzle that now it's easy to say, thank you for that win. Mm-hmm. And when you're going through it, if you can switch it to, instead of, we're all human, but if you can switch it out of that, what the fuck? Why now? Why me? Yeah. And you can turn it into, thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you for letting me be at the hotel. Thank you for the surgery. Thank you for that. It changes completely the course. And I truly believe that. And like I've told you 4 times, it would be so fucking easy to sit here and say, hey, Tarik, if you're going to be broke, poor, driving all over town and staying in a hotel, but the reward is you're going to start changing people, you're going to motivate people and you're going to reach crazy pinnacles or heights, you're going to break through ceilings in sport, and you'd be like, fucking give it to me.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can adopt that mentality or that faith before it happens, that's what trudges you along.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what gets you through the tough times of when, someone like this gets hurt and, you love him as a brother more than a player. Where I start, I have those human doubts, and it's like, fuck, did I miss something? Or did we lead him somewhere we shouldn't have?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a crucial thing. And you're seeing his mental side of things unlock, and that's allowed. Talent comes and goes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think good people and good mentalities are what break through even higher. And I think this is a testament to what you're kind of seeing unfold.
Yeah, no, it's incredible to hear, and to me, it's there's just like I feel like everything you said, it all connects and it all is
It's crazy,
in
man.
a sense,
It really
it's almost
is
like
crazy.
a blueprint to achieving excellence or achieving whatever your definition of success is. But you had, it really came down to how you responded to everything that you went through. And I think that's so important for people to, watching this or listening to this to understand is like, at any point those things could have crushed you. They could have thrown you off the path. Like, but you, again, like you said, you put one foot in front of the other. And like, that's so important for people to, again, to understand is like, if they're going through something right now, it's like,
It's a win.
it's like, as long, if you, it's like, all right, think that like,
It's so hard to say.
how much you went through, and then you want to sign
Dude,
up.
it's so hard to say.
You know what I mean? If they can just know, like, all right, I have the faith that, and then, like, again, I have the faith in myself because I control what I can control. I go as hard as I possibly can. I don't let life throw me or make me fold or anything like that. And just, again, like, applying everything that you've said, it really almost is like a blueprint to achievement. And I just want people to understand that it's like whatever they're going through right now, whatever you're going through, like, just know that, like, by applying all the things that you've said, basically, like, that can allow you to get through it and get to where you want to go.
You're going to get smoked.
Like I said, too, it's like,
It's coming.
Even if it wasn't baseball, obviously it is, but if it wasn't baseball, it's going to translate into something else.
100%.
Right?
This is universal.
Mm-hmm.
This
This
is
is
a
like
life.
life.
This is
It'll
life
translate to
stuff.
life.
This
It's-
is you're gonna get
There's
smoked in the
lessons,
mouth.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're gonna get
Shit's
punched in the
gonna
mouth.
happen.
It's
Yeah,
coming.
life's gonna hit you.
Yeah, it's failure happens and life happens in all aspects. It just so happens to be like when I fail, it just so happens to be in sport and on TV and like people watch and like, oh, that was a failure of a game, right? And it's like I don't really look at it that way. I think it's a lesson, and it's another time to sit back and look yourself in the mirror and be like, hey, did I stay true to who I am? Did I give it everything I had today? Did I control what I can control? Did I not let my mind wander? Did I check myself when there was a little bit of doubt? Like, all that stuff, matters. And then you look yourself in the mirror and you say yes or no, and then you can say it was fail or success. And then
You
you can,
determine that.
and then I'm the one who determines that. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna let a box score determine that.
Because
Or
I
a
think it
critic
is.
or a
Someone's
reporter.
opinion.
Yeah.
Someone's
Everybody
dumbass
can say what they
opinions.
want. Yeah.
It
Everyone
is
has
so. It
opinions.
is so easy to just talk it. You hear the oldest, talk the talk, walk the walk. It is so easy to say, oh, thank you for letting me be heard, or oh, thank you for letting me get my ass kicked today. It's another thing to live it and to buy into it, and that's the battle of life.
And that's, that really represents Ironwilled. It's like by any means, and that's why by any means necessary is our tagline. And I feel like that's what, truly, it's, I don't want to get all weird here, but it's
No,
like, dude,
we're getting
you
weird.
really define,
We're getting weird.
boys. You really define, everything that, that, again, I share so much, like, with you and, like, and resonate with your story so much. And, yeah, it's just, honestly, it's crazy to me. It really is. And, I really hope people take that away, is like, no matter what they're going through, again, like, and that's the biggest thing with Ironwilled too. It's like, it's not just specific to a sport or a certain domain, or you have to be an entrepreneur. It's like everything that you went through, like, it's literally just that happens to almost everybody. It's just the way that they perceive it, the way that they go about it. You know what I mean? Just, it's like, me as an entrepreneur, it's like a drop might not go. That's the equivalent to you maybe
happen.
having a bad start, right? Yeah. Or, you having a bad couple games. It's going to happen no matter what. Like, everybody's going to go through that specific, or a similar experience, and it really, literally it comes down to what you do, not what anybody else says, what anybody else thinks. So.
How you going?
And I think that's how, at least this is how I interpret like the Ironwilled, like, what's the word I'm
mantra.
looking for? Like, not mantra, but like the community is like, I think they're all bought in because they know how much goes into it and how much, time and energy and all that stuff for you guys to go put out successful products and stuff like that. And I think that, like, your community understands that. And I think I know that that's something that, like, I resonate with, is like just the way that this company's been built, I think is pretty similar to kind of how my career and how my life's gone. It's not all roses and it's not all good things. Like,
there's a lot of dark
failure and darkness and all that stuff happens, and it's good. Like, let that stuff happen. There's so much growth to be had when you get punched in the mouth or when you face adversity. Who wants hands out? Who wants free handouts in their life? Like, yeah, it's nice, but what's it doing for you? It's not setting you up to have any sort of success. Yeah. And I think the best life lessons and stuff are learned through the face of adversity. And I think that's pretty cool. And I think that's what's cool about this company too. I'm sure that you know a lot more about it than me, just failing and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, everything that I say, I always have felt like I'm like not to make this about me so much, but like I've always like thought that I've been almost a sacrifice for people, right? Like, I have to go through these things mentally, and I have to experience these hardships and these struggles in the way that I grew up. I had to go through that to be able to allow people to for them to feel and truly connect with what I'm telling them and what the brand is speaking to them. You know what I mean? Because it's like that's what I can't stand about the way things are, is like anybody can go and post some motivational quote. You know what I mean? But it's like, there has to be realness behind it.
More so than ever now.
Yeah, more so than ever, yeah.
It's very consumable now.
Exactly, yeah. Like, anybody can go and do that. But yeah, like, Ironwilled was born out of like my struggles and my experiences and what it is, like what the brand has become has been born from all of that darkness that I went through and all that adversity. And, it seems like with you, Cy Young winner, All MLB, Triple Crown winner, that was created by the adversity that you went through, the darkness that you dealt with, how you responded throughout all of those, situations.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree more. Everyone's going to get, I feel like I've said it a bunch of times, but everyone's going to fail. It's about how you respond and how you react to it.
I think
that's something that, like, when I'm playing and I watch guys, struggle, everyone struggles. Myself, I struggle. I love watching guys. I don't love watching guys fail, but I love watching my teammates respond to failure. I think that is one of the coolest things, and that's something that I have the most respect for, is like, anybody can be the guy when things are going your way, when everything's going your way, when, you're hitting every spot, or you've got the best stuff of your life, or, every time you hit the ball, it's, landing here. Like, everyone can be the guy and be the happy-go-lucky guy and be that confident teammate and, carry a team. But it's like, I want to know who you are when you get punched in the mouth, or when you don't have good stuff, or when you are a little bit off. How are you going to respond to that? Yeah. And I think that's something that I watch a lot, and I love it too. I love when a guy, I don't want my teammates to fail. That's not what this is. It's like, I love watching them fail. No, I don't love watching them fail, but
inevitably
I like watching.
It's coming.
Yeah,
I
know when the failure's coming, right? I love when they respond and react to it. With what goes on behind the scenes and stuff like that. I think it's awesome, because those are the guys, like, every fifth day when I get the ball, those are the guys I'm going to war with. And, I want the guys that are not afraid of failure and just to go out there and give it everything that they've had and not be afraid of anything else. And I think that's what makes sports so beautiful.
I think that's almost kind of why we almost, I think, leaned on each other for so long, as we knew we were both kind of coming out of the mud, per se. And we kind of bought into each other of like, hey, bro, I understand you're getting out of the mud, and he understands I'm getting out of the mud, and together we're going to get out of the mud.
That's literally what that defines
And
Ironwilled.
I think that kind of carried us to where we both are now. It was like a mutual mud understanding of.
I know you guys talked about it recently too, like saying you feel like your careers are on similar trajectory, right? Like at the gym or however you want to call it, like on a similar trajectory to
How we
career,
actually
our
ended
career,
up
your career.
working together is another story, but I think what carried us to sitting on this couch this many years later, from when, we weren't supposed to probably, someone could say, be sitting here. We both just recognized, even though we didn't have to talk about it, I think it's an unspoken, hey man, I understand you're trying to get out of it. You got popped in the mouth. I'm getting popped in the mouth. Let's respond. And we just kind of ping-ponged off each other, and it kind of carried us both to where we are today.
It's like a bond through the shared experience.
Yeah.
It's not spoken, it's felt.
You don't have to
it's
speak,
it's an
you know.
energy. It's a frequency.
Right.
And
I
that's,
feel like there's a reason like we're all here right now
Yeah.
with you, right? Like you came in the gym, like something was obviously felt even without communicating it, that led us to like collaborating with everything like this, right?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's really what defines like the Ironwilled community, and that's like what it like I've never even been able to almost like put it in words so much, and like that describes it perfectly. It's like a feeling, it's this bond that only we understand. And you had said at dinner a couple weeks back, you had said that there was a trainer or a coach, and that was kind of like in a higher position, that had kind of like, here you go guys, like just take this guy, right? And it's like, he probably didn't understand, like he didn't see that, but in the fact that, that's just call it fate or God or whatever, but like that's what that's one of those things that kind of enabled that to happen. But again, it's like not everybody understands, but
no, we just wanted to get better, and obviously, when someone's offering you, hey, you want to train this kid, it's not like, hey, in 12 years time, 10, 12 years time, he's going to be a Cy Young.
Anybody
It's not
would
like
take
that.
that.
Anyway, it just was, we both wanted to level up, and we both wanted to get per se out of the mud and better ourselves. And I think unspokenly, even when I went through my hard times, he was the first one to call me and say, he left at the time a world-renowned facility to hang out with me and work out with me in my apartment. We were running through fucking dog shit at a park. But he left that, because I think we had this unspoken, hey man, I'm buying into you, you're buying into me. We're both trying to get out of it and see where it takes us.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, I think you become who you surround yourself with, and like you get yourself in a pack of dogs, you become one of the dogs, and like you don't even think twice about anything that's going on. You just see what's going on around you, and the hunger and the strive to be great and the strive to, have success, and you just start chasing that as well. So I think that that's also important in life, is like not only look yourself in the mirror, but you need to look the people that are around you and be like, hey, are these people trying to be great, or are they trying to hold me back? And have those kind of honest, conversations with yourself and with those people. But you do want to surround yourself with people that are trying to be great, and people that care not only about you but themselves and kind of the bigger picture. And that's what these two guys do a great job of in my life.
Yeah, I can tell it's more than just like obviously you guys have been doing this so long,
deep,
but it's
man.
not just I'm going to train you in the off season type of thing.
No.
Would you say that's played a big factor in just like the emotional and mental kind of relatability that you have with these guys and working with them for so long? And like, would you say that's been pretty instrumental to who the player that you've become?
Oh, for sure. I think you stack an off season here, you stack an off season there. Like I've stacked since 2016 8 years of work with these guys, to where I think they might know my body probably better than I do, and things just I don't have to talk about it, right? They kind of know what's going on or which exercises that are good for me. You know, it's very individualized in that aspect for me. And, you know, I've said it before, but they hold me accountable. But it's also something like the relationship is way bigger than just me going to the gym and working out.
Yeah.
Like when I have to say bye for a season, you know, you think I'd be excited to go to season, but it's like, no, I'm going to not be around guys that I'm really close with and care about with for 7 months. So there's that little bit of emotional aspect, and that's how you know you're with good people too, because the feelings reciprocated. And as much as I may not see them in those 6-7 months, I think that you know, they're very much in touch, and they probably know me better than I know me with how I portray myself through like media or through you know, different stuff like that with you know, texting, whatever it may be, phone calls, all that stuff. I think they probably know me better than I know me, and just sending the right messages, you know, when I need to hear some stuff. And they're also honest, you know, and, you know, if I'm being soft or if I'm being a bitch, then, you know, I want people around me that are going to tell me like, hey, dude, nothing, you're asking for a handout.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't really want that, you know, and that's pretty, I think that's special. I don't know if everybody has those relationships, you know, with people that can be that impactful in their life.
It honestly is. It's almost like tip of the iceberg stuff, but I'll forever be grateful to these guys. 'Cause it seems cool now that we're all hanging out and things are going well. I'm sure down the road we'll have to face some more adversity, but we've been through, you know, apartment gyms, dog shit parks, and booty gyms, and trusting each other that, hey, you know, we could go to, you know, a world-renowned facility, but I choose to surround myself around the right people. And we've leaned on each other through all those times of when going through the mud and trying to climb. And I would say it's almost made our lives easier because we knew Tarik was, you know, at the first, he was so bought in. It's been easy to plan out his, you know, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. I think too many athletes kind of come and go or buy into the newest thing down the road or this and that. But when you have somebody that, you know, you fully buy into each other and you surround yourself in that community, you can see the, you know, the long-term plan. There may be, you know, we may get off the path here and there, you know, some things we didn't plan on, but, you know, the end goal is always the end goal. And when you have people that are willing to get in the trenches with you or willing to get in the mud with you and we climb out together, you know, it's kind of easy to just stay the course.
For sure. Easy to pour into somebody that's,
you know, when
fully bought in.
Yeah. You know,
no
when he's
questions
down,
asked,
we're down. When we're down, he's down. And we all just kind of lean on each other, and it's lifted us out of a bunch of mud that we've all had to kind of go through.
Yep. Same thing with my guys here.
Yeah,
you know?
it's a community, man.
Really
when they say it takes a village, so I'm a firm believer in you should choose who you surround yourself with.
No, it's extremely important. I mean, we see it right here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, a lot of guys, I'm sure, even at your level, like neglect their training and neglect, you know, maybe even the circle around them, but like you have, you know, that, you know, seemingly dialed in. And a couple things I want to mention before I kind of have one more question here, but just in the past couple of weeks, some of the things I've noticed is, you know, we did a shoot with you last week. You know, there's a lot of guys to shoot, and you were the first one there. I thought that was extremely important because, you know, you could have been, applying the second thing too to this is, again, you had said, you know, Saturday was the game that, you know, you had a rough outing and, you know, you guys were bounced from the playoffs, and that Monday morning you were in the gym. You know, I feel like a lot of guys would, you know, use both, you know, the fact that had happened. Oh, I had an amazing year. I had this career year, and, you know, I'm just going to go and, you know, all right, time to go to Cabo. Or, you know, you could have even gotten down and sulked about it and like gotten all in your head and just stayed at home or wherever and not got back in the gym and just sulked. And then with the first thing is like the fact that you had that career year, you know, even though you had a great mindset after the playoff loss, you were 3 weeks, 4 weeks into your training again, like you were still the first one in the gym, and you're there doing all the prep work. You were in there for 3 hours. You still went out and pitched. Like, you know, I see these things, and like, and that, to me, that defines who you are as both a player and a person. And that's what I want to ask you is, you know, not just as a player, but as a person, you know, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind? You know, I saw your you know, your wife and child in the gym too. You know, what do you want? What
They
is
brought donuts.
Tank.
They brought some donuts for you.
But before you answer, I do want to say, and I do have his back to the end of the time about this. Some guys, when they reach success, it's easy to become that person. Oh, I'm the first one in the gym, put out the content. Oh, I worked the hardest. When he was a nobody, he was still that guy. Mm-hmm. He stayed true to that guy all the way through to where he is now, to this day, to where, you know, he got popped in the mouth in the playoffs, but a handful of hours he's back Monday training, to where some people are like, hey man, you better chill out.
Yeah.
87 and 29 are similar, even though we like to make jokes about 29.
He stayed true to that guy, so he can answer that. But I do want to, from day one since I've met him, he has been that guy. It's not a facade. It's not a. It's easy to be that guy when you're winning.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
It's
a reason
easy to pump the motivation quotes out when you're winning. It's easy to be the first one to show up when the checks are coming in. But when you're down and out and things look a little, you know, the vision may not be so clear, and you stay true to that person, that's a testament to who he stayed true to this from day one since I met him to now.
Mm-hmm. I agree, and I believe it. Yeah, what is that legacy that you want to leave behind? You know, you've achieved all of these amazing things, and you know, I can tell at the end of the day that's not what what matters to you. You know, what does matter to you in terms of, like, you know, what you want to leave behind? I'd say both on the game and as a person.
Yeah, that's a tough question.
Started it tough and ended it tough.
Yeah, those are two. You know, in the baseball side of things, I'd probably have a better formulated answer, you know, than probably off the field stuff. But you know, on the field, what motivates me to do things and to put the time in and to do things that, like, you know, the behind the scenes stuff that may not be on camera, that people don't see, like, winning is what motivates me to be great. Is, like, I think winning, it tastes so good. You know, it's one of those things where, like, I was able to experience playoff baseball for the first time in my career this year, and, like, the celebrations and stuff like that, like, that champagne is pretty sweet, and it's special when you get a group of guys bought into something bigger than themselves, and that was what kind of emulated our season down the stretch there, of who we were as a team and as an organization, and that was a ton of fun to be a part of. And you know, my legacy as far as individual accomplishments or achievements, like, I don't want to downplay them, but, like, being a World Series champion is the most important thing to me in terms of what I want to do on the baseball field. And I think that is what I would want my legacy to be, is, like, one of the best at winning. You know, a guy that has, you know, not just one ring, multiple rings. You know, I think it's awesome when you talk about, like, you know, MJ versus LeBron, right? Like, the biggest separator is what? LeBron has every other accolade. MJ has the rings, you know, and I think that's, yeah, and you can argue with a wall if you want, but I think that's what's so cool about sport, is just winning is amazing, and it's such a special thing to be a part of. You know, I think it gets lost in professional sports a little bit just because there is that financial stuff of you know, you have to take care of you and your family and make some decisions that and just the business side of the game kind of gets a little nasty at times. And, you know, as much as a player you want that stuff to not matter, it happens, and it's just the business side of the game. But you know, I think when sports are at their purest, it's about what guys are willing to do and sacrifice whatever they have to do to win, and those are the teams that typically do it. You know, obviously with the talent and stuff, that's obviously in professional sports. But you know, as a person off the field, I want to be a good dad. I want to be, you know, there, be present, be a good husband, all those types of things. You know, that's something that I'll take pride in that aspect. And you know, I'm going to do everything I can for me and my family to set us up to be able to enjoy and do whatever want to do in the future, you know, that we love and what makes us happy. I think that's, you know, important. It's just like finding your why and being happy and enjoying life. And that could be, you know, so many different things. You know, I have no idea what my life's going to look like in, you know, in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. I have no idea. But what I do know is I want to be present and live my life day by day, and not to get too ahead in the future or you know, reflect in the past. I want to be pretty present, and I think that's all you can really promise yourself, you know, in your personal side of your life.